firstly, thank you for making me feel at home by bringing the horizontal rain from Glasgow. I'm also now going to apologise for what I'm about to say, or attempt to say. Ia, Ver, Jon, or Alban, which I hope says a big yes from Scotland. Okay, sorry if it didn't. Okay. So, the Scottish referendum was had a very strange outcome in Scotland. The losers feel like winners, and the winners look like losers. That made the anti-independence side really frustrated, because they'd assumed that a no vote would kill off the drive for independence, but instead it made it stronger. Why did it turn out like this? The referendum campaign was a step change for Scotland. What was important was not the official campaign at the centre, Yes Scotland. I mean, that was fine, but it wasn't. It was nothing special. What made it? We don't tell anyone in the official Yes campaign that I said that, by the way. What made the big difference was the thousands of people, many who had never been involved in politics before, who took responsibility to initiate campaigns in their own local communities. They did their own canvassing, they did their own street stalls. They revived the concept of public meetings and found that people in their hundreds wanted to come along and hear the arguments. By the end of the campaign, the rooms, every meeting I spoke to looked like this. There was standing room only, which was fantastic to see. They genuinely cooperated with each other. You'd mentioned about like cross-party. The SNP, the Scottish Greens, the Socialist Party, many Labour Party members, Scottish CND and many more worked really, really well together, even though they had political differences. The groups were all self-starting. So, Women for Independence, for example, was a group of troublemaking feminists, including myself, who got together and said, how can we make women's voices heard in the campaign? That became one of the biggest organisations in the whole referendum, along with National Collective for the Arts Workers, Radical Independence for the Lefties, who actually have their conference in Glasgow today, continuing on. And we had Lawyers for Independence, we had Teachers for Yes, and many, many more. Especially important were the developments in social media. Every daily newspaper in Scotland now, I do appreciate that we at least have daily newspapers that are Scottish centred. Okay? Every daily newspaper in Scotland, except from one Sunday paper, were violently anti-independence. But we used our social media to very, very effectively and often with a lot of humour. The Yes campaign strategy from the beginning was to keep a very strong, positive message. Think about what you would want Scotland to do with the full powers of state. One of the social media hashtags that we did was the hashtag Yes Because campaign. Now, sorry if many of you are not really social media kind of savvy, but just smile along, okay? So, the hashtag Yes Because campaign was encouraging people to just say why they supported independence, and that encouraged normal people to go, actually, I'm yes because I don't like trying nuclear weapons. So it was a fantastic, effective campaign, but really, really simple. Voters knew that there was something really important at stake, and for a short period, they had absolute power. At the polls, you saw this, we had an 85% voter turnout. Now that's amazing, absolutely amazing. People who had never voted before turned out to queue for voter registration. Now I still get a shiver up my spine about the registration deadline day. It was one of my favourite days without question of all my years campaigning, and I have 100 stories. My favourite though was a man who was 76 years old, came from one of the most deprived area of the whole of Scotland, had never ever voted before, and he came along to the stall to sign up to register to vote yes, and he was so excited about that. Now, when we look back our support was our strongest amongst the under 50s. Also from those from less well-off backgrounds. And sadly, more men did support independence than women. So, what can Wales, what can you take from this experience? There is a place for targeted negative attacks, but it needs to be an overall positive vision. People need reassurances on the practical things. Again, they were kind of mentioned, things like your pensions and your jobs, but that is not enough. You need to build local community campaigns, have your neighbours talking to neighbours. Create your own online news service. We're never going to get the newspapers and the BBC and all your main news channels supporting us. So just create your own. We've got lots of quite good, we've got fantastic websites who do this. One of the best is the Commonwealth's Common Space, and it's now becomes a normal thing in Scotland. It's Common Space, and it's a few young journalists who create news. Investigative journalism, and it's on an excellent popular platform, and it's all paid for by small monthly donations. I'm one of the larger, I think, monthly donators because I donate £5 a month. Which means that everybody just puts a small amount in, and it provides an actual news service that covers everything. I mean, it covers all news, but it allows us to get our voices out there. And importantly, you need to develop a strong social media presence. I mean, that is where we dominate. I know you've got 3 hashtags here. Use them. Get it out there. Get everybody tweeting. Even in negative tweets, you've no idea what I've kind of taken online. But then go out and take your chances. Okay? I'm going to try this one more time. Díolach per